Well, it's 11:30. Thank you very much for joining our meeting today. It's going to be another exciting one. Thank you, Christian, for being so thoughtful and preparing this beautiful handout. And I'm looking forward to a really exciting, great meeting where we will all be able to learn a lot. With that, I would like to ask Mike to tell us more about what's going on within our organization, what we are expecting for the next few weeks.
Thank you very much, Eckhart. I will just share my screen with everybody. Hope you can see our fabulous NMUG logo. So a few announcements today. First of all, I've forgotten to put a link on the message board, but I'll do that the moment that I stop talking. So it'll be up within the next 15 minutes or so. But if you do have any questions or comments that you'd like to make about Christian's meeting today, please go to find the link on the message board. It'll be at the top of the stack, so easy to detect. And if you'd like to comment and ask questions there, that would be fantastic. One or two meetings coming up that are kind of that need a bit of extra mentions. First of all, we're going to do something that we did last year about the NMUG website. And on Saturday, the 7th of December, starting at 10 a.m., we're going to have a meeting at which Dan and I will talk about the NMUG message board, talk people who aren't terribly familiar with the site, how to use it, paying particular attention to the message board, but taking in the whole of the NMUG website. So if you have any questions, particularly for me about the message board, that would be a fantastic time to come along and ask them. So that's Saturday, December the 7th. And the Wednesday meeting after that, which is December the 11th, is our general meeting. And board members would love to extend an invitation to everybody to come along to that meeting because, again, it gives you a fantastic opportunity to ask questions. I think we'll all be participating. We'll all be talking about the past year and future plans, what we hope for the organisation. We're obviously very interested to hear your comments about how things are moving along. So that's December the 11th, and we do hope that you'll pop that in your diary and come along. Next week's meeting, I'm really excited by this because Sheeta, for those of you who came to last week's meeting about imaging in AI, Sheeta mentioned that she's been working with AI to create some artwork to introduce our class season for 2025. And I have one or two that I'd like to share with you. They're just stunning. Sheeta, and huge congratulations on these because they look so amazing.
Thank you.
And all of this lovely stuff will be going on, as I'm sure you know, through January, February, and March next year. But Sheeta will be detailing all of the stuff that's going to happen through our class season at our next meeting. And that's same time, same place next week. Just really now leaves me to suggest that you lock your wallets away in the nearest safe. Don't go near your credit cards. And I'll just pass the meeting over to Sheeta just to talk about questions and also to introduce Christian. Let me just stop my share. Thanks, Sheeta.
All righty. Yes, protect your wallets, but then again, open them up. You got to support the economy, you know. All right. So with that, we are going to turn it over to Christian Boyce because we know that we're going to have a wonderful meeting. And I do want to mention Christian Boyce is going to teach two of our classes this year. His usual iOS, and he's going to cover Mac photos and iOS photos. So you're in for a treat. So you'll learn all about that next week. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Christian.
Okay. All right. And as usual, you know the rules. If you have a question, put it in the chat, and Sheeta will sort of moderate those questions and interject as needed whenever you think it's right, Sheeta. Okay.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here and see if I remember to share the sound. We'll need that later. Okay. So today we're talking about the Mac, and we're talking about cool stuff. And, you know, I've been a Mac person, got my first Mac in 1985. So the machine was maybe a year old by the time I got my first one in 85. I was 2 months old at the time. And I loved using it so much that I became sort of almost was like a traveling preacher about it. I would tell people about the cool things they could do with this box or this machine, and I would even tell people who didn't really want to know what they could do. Anyone who would sit still for a minute, I'd show them something fun and useful. And I never thought about it as a computer. I thought about it as like, I don't know, like getting a driver's license or something. All of a sudden you could go and when you get a driver's license, you can drive anywhere, go anywhere. And some people just like to drive. It's not transportation. They like being in the car, moving around. And that's how I was with the Mac. In fact, I just dug up this book. I'm going to be at a career day in a week. And they wanted me to bring a book, and this is a book I wrote in 1991. That's that picture on the back. That's 1991, Christian Boyce. But right on the front, when it says your Mac can do that, it also says use the coolest features and the hottest Mac software. Well, the coolest features. So it looks like I'm using the same words that I was using in 91. It's still cool. It's still groovy. I guess you don't change too much. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to teach you about things that are going to make using the Mac more fun, easier, faster, better, and maybe some techniques that you can use every single day. And then I'm going to show you some tips for apps that you're already using that'll make those apps go better. But I'm going to start by talking about some apps that you might not know. And so here we go. So this is the apps section. So first we have an apps section. Then we're going to have a tips section. And if you got the handout, which is in the chat, you'll get, the last page has a link to everything that I'm talking about today. So you don't have to do a bunch of scurrying around to find things.
Christian, can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
You have a bunch of icons displaying at the bottom of the screen?
Yes, on purpose.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to know. All right.
Like those guys down there that I just covered up?
Yes.
Yeah. That's actually part of the presentation. It's coming up. You'll see even more. Yuck, right?
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna hide those things later. So good catch. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You gotta get up earlier than this if you're gonna full Sheeta. Okay. So let's talk about first thing we're gonna talk about is an app called Alfred. Now, Alfred is sort of like Spotlight, but it's not. Now, we know what Spotlight is, right? We have up here our little Spotlight icon. You click on it and you can do searches. I might search for NMUG maybe, right? Let's see, NMUG like this. And when you search using Spotlight, you're searching an index that's built by Apple. It's every word on the Mac, every bit of text that they can find has been entered into this index, and you're searching that. So you can see you get quite a hodgepodge of results here. A lot of things, including eventually, after I typed NMUG, I actually found mugs. So they thought maybe what I really wanted was mugs, and then I made a typo. So that's Spotlight, and we're glad it's there. But Alfred is sort of like Spotlight in that it pops up a little box that you type into, but it can do so much more. So Alfred looks like this little bowler hat. Now you can access it from the menu bar like I'm about to do here. If I do it like this, it pops up that box. I think I'm going to put it up here so it's not blocked. But we're not going to do it that way after this. I'm going to show you later that you can set up your own keyboard shortcut for it. So in the same way that we use Command Space to pop up Spotlight, and we use escape to get out of it. You can do control space to pop up Alfred. So what's different about Alfred, what's smart about it is that it learns from the way you use it, so that it becomes something that it predicts things. It presents things in an order that makes sense to you. Whereas in Spotlight, that was just a big jumble of stuff. It was not a useful search to me. So what can we do with Alfred? Well, we can use it to find and open files. We can use it to find and open apps. We can use it to find and open contacts, like people. And you can do Google search using it. And you can use it to go straight to a URL. And if you, all of this is free. So Mike, no wallet needed yet. But you spend a little money and you can buy something called the Power Pack and you create workflows. Let me just show you how it all works. And we'll move on to the next thing in a second. So I'm gonna do control space, because that's the shortcut that I made, because it's easy for me to do. And if suppose I look for, let's say I want to open up the calculator. So I do CA. They've already guessed that I want the calculator, because you see these are things that start with CA. If I hit return here, here comes the calculator. All right, well, now I'm going to close this up. But let's say that what I really wanted was something else. So I'll do CA again. If I really wanted, let's say what I really was trying to do was get the carbon copy cloner. Well, I could type a little bit more, or I could just click on it and it opens. Okay, so I'm just going to close this up because I don't care about that right now. But supposing now you come back here to Alfred and you do your control space again. When I start doing the CA, you see how they've moved carbon copy cloner to the top. So they paid attention to what I did before. When they had carbon copy cloner in the list before, it was like the third or fourth thing down. Now it's the first one because they think that's what I wanted. So now it's just a return key away from launching. So that's how it learns. And if you did the same thing, suppose you did, you're looking for people named Tom. Well, I know lots of people named Tom. And let's say out of all these people here, it turns out that the Tom that I usually am looking for is this one at the top, Tom Sumner. Now, if I hit return, it would open up its address book card, which would be great for you and bad for me and for Sheeta, because she'd have to edit the video. So we're not going to do that. But the point is, if of all these Toms in my life, they are presenting the one who I have historically chosen the most when I do a search. So that's the learning part, really neat. Now you can do a Google search from it. So by having this feature that works in so many ways, you can start a lot of the things that you do right from Alfred. So instead of having to go to Safari and then do a Google search, I can go like this. I can bring this up. I can type Google. And then I'll say, let's say I'm going to search for NMUG. You see it says there at the top, search Google for Google NMUG. Okay, so let's do it. And if you saw my screen over here, it's found a bunch of things that had to do with mugs, which is a mistake. Oh, I'm going to show you one more thing. I made a tiny mistake here. I'll show it to you in a minute. But I could just type in a URL. So if I do this, if I wanted to go to christianboyce.com, you see that it's saying right there, open the URL for like this. So I could, and hit return. It would bring up my web page. That's great. Okay, so a whole bunch of things can be started from Alfred. And one last thing I want to do is show you what you can do with this thing called the Power Pack. And I'm going to look here and I'm look at the preferences. When you see the preferences here, your general preferences are here. You see my shortcut, control space. And you can see here we have in the features, no, scratch it in the